What is something you did while blackout drunk that you still to this day cannot believe you did? Apparently I drank a red Gatorade from the fridge and later threw up in the bathtub and my roommates thought I was throwing up blood. Of course no one called 911 lol, instead they decided to wait till the morning and ask, bro, was that blood? I once ate a bag of hot Cheetos while I was drunk. A little while later my drunk sister found me laying in the backyard barfing them back up. She thought it was blood and sat next to me crying, telling me what I good brother I was and how she didn't know what she would do without me and begged me not to leave her die. Once I was done throwing up enough to explain that it was just hot Cheetos, she got very upset and yelled at me for making her think I was dying. I got mad at her for not calling me an ambulance and just letting me die in the backyard. Allegedly I was saying something and spat while I was talking. The guy said, "Hey bro, you just spit on me," and instead of apologizing like I would any other time, I said I spit on all my bitches. Then the fight started. For some reason, my friend wanted to show that he could do a lot of squats. We both pulled our pants down next to his fire pit, oh grave a circumflex a diaresis, and did a lot of squats. I didn't remember this, so I woke up terrified by how sore I was from bowling before the drinking started. I honestly spent all week having a crisis about this. Is it? I'm getting old and my body can't handle physical activity. Then my friend told me his GF kept teasing him about us doing squats with our pants around our ankles. And I freaked out like, RFCK yes. I'm not getting old yet. I can still do things. I once shit on a cop car. There was dashcam footage released looking for any info on who it might be and I recognized my hat and sweatshirt. Threw up on a band in Nashville during a live show. Girlfriend at the time needed to find an ATM, so I drunkenly followed her. When she found one, I sat on the concrete against a metal railing. I knew I was going to be sick, so I stuck my head through the railing and vomited my heart out. What I didn't realize was that it was actually about a 15-foot drop between me and the concrete, where a band was playing, with an entire audience watching. Punched my friend right in the face. Apparently I said I would. Then he said you won't, so I did. I still can't believe it. Told my then GF, now wife, at her own birthday party at Volume in front of a few other friends that we were leaving because I won a FCK. This is way out of character. I'm a real introvert and quiet. Then when she got me home I threw up all over our bed. Woke up in bed with a towel under me and a blanket on top with no idea what had happened, but I knew it must be bad. Weirdly she forgave me really quickly. One of the guys in my group of friends was dating a girl. They had been together a while, and the rest of us weren't crazy about her. Maybe because we were all young, early 20s, and he was the first one of us with a serious relationship, and so we didn't see him as often. I got ridiculously drunk at a party and ended up declaring my love for some girl I had just met, then passing out in the bathroom on the floor with the dogs. I was found at some point, and people were amused at my expense. My friend's girlfriend, rather than mocking me, helped me out. She took me upstairs, gave me some water, and put me to bed. Before passing out again I said something along the lines of, "You're really awesome. I don't know why everyone says you're a bitch." We didn't see our friend much for a while. Eventually things smoothed over. They got married and I was invited. So no permanent damage done. Still, I couldn't believe I said something so stupid. I've also never gotten that drunk again without being told to do so. I decided to climb down a ladder onto a frozen canal in Netherlands. Jumped up and down until the ice broke. Then sprinted a mile to get to my friend's apartment while drenched. That's not always survivable. It was not on purpose. Once at a bar I knocked a beer bottle over. It hit the floor and only the bottom came out. A perfect circle spinning like a coin. The rest of the bottle was intact, some the bottom. I then called my mate and told him, "Watch this," and tried to repeat the feat. I threw a second bottle on the floor and obliterated it, and we both got kicked out. I told my ex and her mom to suck on these Christmas balls when they were both trying to get me off the floor. Got onto the stage at a dive strip club and did the helicopter. My buddy said I got cheered on by all the hunters until I pulled it out and did the helicopter. Me and a very attractive friend made out twice in our lives. The one time she can't remember. The other time I can't remember. Now you have to do it 2 more times. The one time both of you remember it and the other time neither. Trashed a hotel room in New Mexico. Broke the tank on the back of the toilet. Flooding the bathroom. And somehow pulled a lamp out of the wall, shocking myself. I was convinced someone had broken into my room and tried to kill me. IGTFO the next day. Really embarrassed about what had happened. Paid $500 in damages. So they did not press charges. If they only charge you $500 after causing that kind of damage and they didn't press charges, you got off lucky as hell. Nothing. My friends refuse to tell me exactly how my last blackout played out. But they all smile at me whenever I ask. Single-handedly crashing a completely random wedding in a foreign country while my grandparents watched. Spent $11. 000 at one of the lamest strip clubs in town. Ended up with the stripper's number. Was looking for a silver lining, so I asked her if she was in school, hoping that I just paid for a semester or more of tuition. Turns out she's trying to start her own cosmetics line. So I guess you can't call me a venture capitalist? Pretty sure you just paid for her MLM deposit. I had a few drinks and went to bed, woke up the next morning and the wife was making me a huge breakfast and telling me how brave I was to capture and take a rattlesnake from our living room and release it in the wash behind our house. Though I have a jigsaw puzzle memory of that. Tried to fight my friend who was twice my size. Muscularly. Because I thought he stole $50 from me. Turns out it was the big-titted waitress that I gave my money to so she would smash my head between her titties. No me. But my friend, let's call him Dave. Dave used to bring a blanket and bottle of whiskey canoe camping for 2 nights. For food he usually brought a bag of bagels. He would just sleep next to the fire with a blanket and had as much fun as anyone else that brought a ton of tea. Second night he wanders off and we hear a splash in the water. He's blackout drunk at this point. He swims to the other side of the river. Climbs a tree. And sits in it for about a half hour. Finally climbs down. Swims back across. And goes to bed. To this day he doesn't believe that he did it. We were all too drunk to know what to do, so we just watched the whole thing. I really wish I could have been in his head to know what he thought he was doing at the time. And why. I have to assume that he was spinning some fantastic tale in his drunken mind that caused him to do that. My buddy and I drunk stumbled in an area burger joint. The entire menu cost $20. The 2 of us spent almost $60. I'm hoping drunk me became Burger Claws that night, but that's a fool's dream. Christmas Eve I went to a punk warehouse party where I proceeded to get blackout and ask every person to make out with me. After so many new spit partners, I was apparently handed a cardboard cutout of Anchorman that I carried around making out with for the next few hours. My current dude was there taking care of me-ish. Every time he tried to make out with me, I yelled stranger danger and ran away. Few years back I followed my friend into her house. I started getting undressed and cozy for the night on the couch. Except it wasn't her house. It was her neighbor's. I was very surprised one day to receive an email from drunk me reminding me to do something important. I had, and still have, absolutely no memory of sending it. But apparently drunk me had the presence of mind to know how drunk he was, so he created an email to send to sober me 2 weeks later. Drunk me was very smart to plan ahead this way, and sober me appreciated it. Got bored of the bar where my friends and I were hanging out. I went out to smoke, and when they found me I was taking cover charges at the door. No. They were not charging a cover on a Wednesday night. My friends hustled me out of there quick. But I woke up with an extra $75. Many. Was leaving a bar very intoxicated, holding my boyfriend's hand for balance, and I grabbed a very tall man's ass. I don't remember doing that, but I remember falling down right as I stepped out of the doorway and everyone cheering. Not me, but a friend had a good year or two of blackouts. He mentioned one morning that he knew he drank too much whiskey because his ribs hurt. I had rescued him from getting his ass kicked in a fight he started with 2 Marines. After they had gotten in some serious shots on him, he didn't remember that. But he associated the pain from his regular beatings to a side effect of whiskey drinking, never actually remembering getting beaten up. Just like clockwork, he would black out on whiskey and wake up sore and just assumed it was a side effect of whiskey. TLDR. My friend would black out and get his ass kicked so often that he thought the pain in his ribs and torso from being beaten up was soreness from drinking whiskey. 3 weeks ago I did 39 pull-ups and my record prior was 20. I told my friend he was F-king with me until he pulled up the video. Well, I got blackout drunk a grand total of 1 time in my entire life, and I projectile vomited all over the bathroom in a roommate shared apartment, coating literally every inch of it in my stuff. That's totally believable and par for the course for being drunk. So I'm told. What I can't believe is that I had the presence of mind, the coordination and the willpower to dig out cleaning products from the vomit-soaked bathroom and clean the entire flipping thing from top to bottom, to the point where not only did nobody know I threw up in there, but in the morning my roommates were astounded that the bathroom was freshly sparkling clean after we'd all gotten blackout drunk the previous night. For some unknown reason, drunk me loves to clean. People hate it when they're trying to sleep and I'm stumbling around a kitchen doing the dishes. Woke my husband up by eating his ass a few hours before he had to work an overnight. He forgave me and lovingly refers to it as the tequila story when telling it to all of our friends. Yeah, this my wife. Freshman year of college. I tackled my friend through a doorway for no apparent reason. I'm assuming they tucked you into bed, but now I'm hoping they just put you on a sleeper hold. Broke into a complete stranger's house, turned on late night infomercials, and fell asleep on his couch. When owner woke me up, I told him it's okay. Scott said I could stay here. Scott was a friend in Chicago. I honestly thought that in my drunken stupor I had hopped a freight train and made it to Chicago and found his place. Meanwhile, my buddy was walking all over town looking for me. I came bounding out the front door of the stranger's house to hear said buddy yell, "Hey." Full stop. He was squatting against stranger's house dropping a load in the side yard. Somehow we managed to walk back to his place and fall asleep while watching Super Troopers in the wee early hours of the morning. He was squatting against stranger's house dropping a load in the side yard. This bothers me more than you breaking into the guy's house. I took a Play-Doh mold of my friend's nipple and then walked around sucking on it. She thought it was so funny that she was recanting the story to me the next morning through tears. Set out my wallet, keys, 2 bottles of water and some aspirin for myself. Drunk me is really considerate. Not necessarily something I did, but I remember waking up after a heavy house party to find our friend's wheelchair empty, with no sign of him. Searched the house for him with no joy. Found him outside, on the porch roof, with 3 unopened beers and the missing bong. There's no window on the 2nd floor he could have used. No one has a clue how he got up there. Had a threesome I don't remember. Trust me bro. From personal experiences, the fact that you don't remember it is probably for the best. Or maybe unlike me you pick attractive people to have threesomes with while few drunk. On Halloween I dressed up as a cop and walked by 6 officers as they shut down the party I was in. My friends say I had the biggest grin on my face and was saluting them the entire time. In one night I threw spaghetti at someone, opened a bag of Doritos in someone's living room and grinded it into the carpet with my shoes. Threw the vacuum across the room when they tried to clean up the Doritos. Flipped over a coffee table full of drinks and snacks. And punched a stair railing in half. This is all very out of character for me. Because I used to black out a lot and was always very well behaved when I did. Sir. Do not do 10 shots of Caribou in 20 seconds. Comma threw the vacuum across the room when they tried to clean up the Doritos. I accidentally won a karaoke contest. I am female. My wife caught me peeing in the cat's litter box. She tried to get me to stop and I yelled at her like she was being ridiculous. Went to a New Year's Eve party while underage. Got so wasted that my brother and friend had to drag me out of there well before midnight. Back home. They poured me into bed and hoped for the best. Apparently. Around 3 AM I started bazooka barfing everywhere. My bed. My brother's bed. We shared a room. The bathroom. The hallway. Etc. My bro says he punched me in the face cause I barfed on his shoes. And I remember none of it. However. I will never forget feeling like I'd been run over by a truck when I woke up the next AM. He punched me in the face cause I barfed on his shoes. The bed was forgivable. Apparently. But his shoes? It's clobberin' time. I live alone and the blade of my key for the door of my apartment broke during an evening of heavy drinking. So I had to decide what to do. The first option was to go to my parents' house and wake them up at 4 AM to get the spare key. The second option was to sleep on the doormat and go to my parents later but get woken up by my neighbor, or the third option to kick the door open. I took the option with the least trouble and kicked the door open. Unfortunately I woke up my neighbors doing this. So they came to check if someone was breaking in and found me repairing my door at 4 AM and I explained why I had to kick in my door. So they went in their bed and I went in mine. Made some really strong margaritas before a Jimmy Buffett concert. I remember walking in and walking out. I cannot remember any of the show. Last night. I was drinking with my buddy and his GF at my place. Suddenly. Everything became black. I woke up in a pool of my own vomit. Without my shirt and socks. Only my pants pulled down and my boxers halfway pulled down. I stood up. Noticed that the doors weren't closed. I came back to my room. And noticed that the wall was covered in puke. About a day later. My friend told me that I've got absolutely f***ed up. And started doing a striptease for them while some music was on. I went to the toilets to piss. Tripped. And fell on the ground. I tried to stand up. But vomited on the wall and fell on the ground again. My buddy asked me if I was alright. And my reply was interrupted by me vomiting. He and his GF took some old rags and cleaned up the puke. They made me drink some water. And didn't close the door because they didn't know where the keys were. I jumped on top of my car and started dancing. I slipped and went ass first through the back windshield of my car. I cut my hands all to FCK and my friends wrapped tape around my hands and I still made it to the party and ended up getting laid with blood all over my clothes and tape on my hands. Such a wild night and I can't believe it even happened. Made a baby. Me and my girlfriend were walking back from a party. I was blackout drunk and she was pissed. I was feeling hot so I took my shirt off. And she demanded I keep it on. Feeling rebellious. I decided I'm going to take my pants off too. Ran over the main bridge in town in my boxers while an embarrassed GF walked a fair distance behind me. I posed while some guys in a Mustang took pics of me. Fun. Edit. I didn't think I'd get that many upvotes. Glad people like my story. Unfortunately I have many more like these. My very first time drinking. Had 3 big fireball cocktails. I knocked out then woke up and walked over to my girlfriend's stairs and just started pissing everywhere. Knocked out again and threw up all over her and the bed. A friend commented on how large my gym shorts were. Large enough to fit 2 people in fact. I immediately pulled my waistband forward and invited him into my shorts. When he politely declined I turned to the host of the party and instructed him to put my friend in my pants. Coerced by the threat of being lifted into the air, my friend reluctantly climbed into my shorts. We proceeded to awkwardly march around the party doing shots while I shouted dick to dick. I might be obnoxious.